You know what Anita's dirty little secret is? Well, actually, I'll get to that in a second. Because firstly, Anita Sarkeesian now wants another $200,000 to make 5 videos about women in history, which we all know is likely to be nothing but a bunch of cutesy animations to try and amuse the easily distracted feminist minds, whilst Anita hopes that no one realises that she just spent $200,000 reading the wiki page. I mean, who needs a historian when you can have a feminist interpretation of history from a pop culture critic?
Now, I'm a pop culture critic, I am a feminist, and I'm a woman.
But wonderfully, Anita tells us exactly how much of the budget she anticipates to spend on research, writing, and fact-checking. Well, actually, pre-production writing, research, and fact-checking. 9%. And of course, this project's being promoted by Time Magazine, Cosmopolitan, Elle, The Washington Post, The LA Times, USA Today, and The Verge. And she launched it on International Women's Day, for which YouTube celebrated by having another viral video where women say all they want is equal rights.
Women should have the same social, political, and economic opportunities as men.
That is the important thing here that we are discussing. Get up and do something about it.
Because I'm sick of the word girl being an insult.
Well, newsflash, ladies, you do have equal rights, which is why you spend all of your time bitching about not having equal rights rather than saying what rights it is that you don't have. Shit, this would be like me protesting that I want the right to vote. And getting a load of men from first world democracies to form a movement saying that men should have the right to vote. Yeah, it's not only making you look like entitled demanding princesses, it's making you look like clueless entitled demanding princesses who have deliberately unplugged themselves from reality simply so you can believe that you're some persecuted victim, as they told you on your gender studies degree. Now take your seat at the United Nations.
Say what you wanna say and let the words fall out.
O que eu faço com a minha voz é provocar discussão.
I mean, screw the poor kids. This is the United Nations, where we're dealing with important first world issues, like the insecurities of middle-class women who have never known real hardship in their lives. Seriously, the only specific issue they list in the entire video is this.
I felt like women of a plus size were not being represented fully in the fashion market.
Fat woman complains that there aren't enough fashionable clothes for fat women. I mean, hell, never mind the fact that men can be fat too. You know, that this isn't a gendered issue at all. Or never mind the fact that there are many parts of the world where being fat simply isn't an option. You know, being fat is something that only happens in the first world. But even in the first world, never mind the fact that the women's fashion industry is about twice the size of the men's fashion industry. Nah, fat woman here is going to the United Nations to complain that the fashion industry doesn't have enough fashion clothes for fat women.
I felt like women of a plus size were not being represented fully in the fashion market.
And you thought Anita was bad when she asked the United Nations to silence her critics because they said she sucked.
I think it's important to recognize that harassment is, as someone had mentioned, it's not just what is legal and illegal, right? Harassment is threats of violence, but it's also the day-to-day grind of you're a liar, you suck.
As always, remember that it's both possible and even necessary to be critical of the media we enjoy.
You know, making all of these hate videos to attack us on a regular basis. And
which brings us back to why she wants another $200,000 to make 5 videos. Now, if that doesn't induce a hard belly laugh, it should. Because it takes a special brand of idiot to watch the Hindenburg go up in flames and then bounce up and down how you want to throw all of your money into hydrogen-lift zeppelins. And this is why I love Anita Sarkeesian. And just like I really hope that rich, fat, white feminist here gets the United Nations to command the fashion industry to make more fashionable clothes for fat women. Because, you know, that's what the United Nations should be focusing its efforts on. I really hope that she raises her $200,000 to make her 5 videos. After all, in 2012, her feminist fans watched her promise 5 videos in 6 months for about $6,000.
Focus on tracking 5 stereotypical representations of women throughout the history of video games. I'm going to look at the damsel in distress, the fighting toy, the sexy sidekick, the sexy villainess, and the most common trope in video games, women as background decoration.
I actually raised 25 times what I initially asked for.
And in reality, she delivered 2 of them in 3 years for $150,000. In other words, she delivered about 1% of what she promised. For which she's done nothing other than give talks for $20,000 a piece, and even, on rare occasions, when she was in the mood, make a video about such thoroughly well-researched topics as why capes obscure people's asses.
For the purposes of this video, I tried to get a glimpse of Batman's rear end, but it's as if his cape is a high-tech piece of Wayne Industries equipment designed to cover up his butt at all costs.
Actually, Anita, it's a high-tech piece of Wayne Industries technology that allows Batman to fly. You know, part of the game mechanics. But I've got good news for you. If you really want to see Batman's ass, you could try playing the game.
Look who it is. I can't say I'm surprised.
Truly a genius among feminists, an astute political commentator.
Everything is sexist, everything is racist, everything is homophobic, and you have to point it all out.
And she still claims with a straight face that this was really all thoroughly researched. It was double and triple checked.
My analysis is very well researched.
For the purposes of this video, I tried to get a glimpse of Batman's rear end.
It's double and triple checked.
But it's as if his cape is a high-tech piece of Wayne Industries equipment designed to cover up his butt at all costs.
It has to be, given the intense level of scrutiny focused on my every word. This is one of the main reasons why each episode takes so long to produce.
And if you include her subsequent fundraising, for which she's produced nothing more than this tiny fraction of the videos that she said she would make, she's pulled in almost $1 million of funding. And that's still not enough for her.
Money, please.
Oh, no, there's no money.
Oh, my bad. No problem. I'll just destroy this office.
Oh, hey!
Money, please. Money, please.
And feminists are still willing to throw money at her left, right, and centre when she promises pretty much exactly what she did 3 or 4 years ago. 5 videos for $250,000 on ordinary women. And she still has the backing of Time Magazine, Cosmopolitan, Elle, the Washington Post, the LA Times, USA Today, and The Verge. I mean, for me, I just find it hilarious that with a track record that bad, she still has feminists and some pretty high-profile old media lining up to throw money at her and support her. I mean, for me, how much money people are still willing to give her is simply a token of how stupid feminists are. I mean, let me just throw this into perspective. I'm still research active and a pretty reasonable research scientist. So we're down at 100 millibars. Should be getting something by now. Oh, there we go. I do that and I make videos on YouTube. But fundamentally, I'm just one guy, one manpower. I have no help in doing this. And just taking the last month as an example, this channel pulled in about 4 million hits and 30 million minutes of video views. Bear in mind that's just one guy doing this while holding up a research career. And then you find out that Anita Sarkeesians' channel gets the same traffic in 1 whole year as mine does in a month. And according to her tax returns, she spends 60 hours a week doing this, pulling in almost $250,000. And my channel still got as much traffic last month as hers did for a whole year. I mean, don't get me wrong, on the grand scheme of things, I'm a nothing on YouTube. But these things are all kind of relative. And damn is that Anita's dirty little secret. The Steve Shives, a gamma rate nobody, even by my standards. His channel still pulls in about as much traffic as Anita Sarkeesians. And that's the core of her organization. That's what it does. It makes videos. But as I've often said, that's the difference between giving money to someone who's got some talent and giving it to a feminist. But hell, I've got to admit it, that in terms of climbing the greasy pole and self-promoting like a mofo, Anita's got me beat hands down. And sadly, with all the video making and research that I do, I just don't get time for it. But hell, Anita's convinced people that someone who has a C-rate YouTube channel with an internet footprint about the size of Steve Shives, those are some pathetic viewing numbers, is one of the most important people of the year. And yeah, while we're on the subject of fundraising, I am very grateful to those who support this channel. And it's nice to have some security against crazy people who are actually set on messing up my real life. And sure, even I on occasion have thought about trying to crowdfund for some interesting equipment that's really outside of the budget of a regular video. Like, for instance, a decent infrared camera, as they clock in at about 10 to 30k. But trust me, I've played with these things and they're immensely fun. And they're a lot better than my $200 smartphone doobry. And the second would be a decent high-speed camera. Again, something that would clock in at about 30k. But fundamentally, this money would be for kit. Stuff that I would actually use to make the videos. But that is something for another day. Because for today, I'm just going to follow the lead of the amazing atheist and his drive to raise $200,000 for the women in the background, rather than the ones in the front. I also figure it's going to be an interesting social experiment to see just how influential old and new media actually are. I mean, even as it stands, this fundraiser, merely with the support of the amazing atheist and Sargon of Akkad that I'm aware of, that's raised more money than the support of Time Magazine, Cosmopolitan, Elle, The Washington Post, The LA Times, USA Today, and The Verge, and their drive to feed the greed of one rich, privileged, entitled feminist for whom $1 million just wasn't enough.
Oh,
Sorry, did I shock you?
you sure did. A bit.
And yeah, I put in my $100. And sure, the next time Anita Sarkeesian goes on about those misogynist internet YouTubers, you can politely remind her that while she was raising $200,000 to make 5 videos, those same women-hating misogynists were actually raising money to help women with real problems, not the contrived first world problems of the professional victim.